is so hard living this life, a constant struggle each and every day. Some wonder why I'd rather die than to continue living.
What's your opinion on the zero tolerance policy?
I think the zero tolerance policy should be revised in a manner in which we are promoting the idea that we want to keep students in school rather than kicking them out. I think that this idea that the one-size-fits-all mentality is not conducive to consequences that may need to be differentiated depending upon the student, depending on the context of the situation. Since I had a student that ran into the zero tolerance policy and was forced to go to alternative school, although she had always had all A's, never had any problems at school, participated in community service frequently, was always doing outstanding service in her school, and ran into a situation in which she got into an altercation which could have been avoided, and there were some things that could have been done differently. However, this was the circumstance that happened, and to be told that she was going to be kicked out of school and going or being sent to an alternative school for that one incident, I thought was a little extreme. And so if you had asked me that question a couple of months ago, I may not have had the answer that I have now. Prior to, I probably would have said, oh, I don't know, maybe it is needed, I have no idea. But you know, sometimes you don't really realize the severity of a situation until it affects you and those that you love and care about, and you're able to see it a little bit clearer.
The term zero tolerance, referring to policies that punish all offenses severely, no matter how minor, grew out of the state and federal drug enforcement policies in the 1980s. It has been said that the first use of this term was recorded in the LexisNexis National Newspaper Database in 1983. 40 submarine crew members were reassigned by the Navy for suspected drug abuse. After being picked up and used by a San Diego attorney in 1986 to title a program that impounded sea crafts carrying drugs, a man by the name of Edwin Meese authorized custom officials to seize boats, automobiles, and passports of anyone carrying drugs across the border. Soon, zero tolerance was used for many more issues, thus the birth of school zero tolerance. When entering high school, everyone should receive a student code of conduct which states the rules and regulations of the zero tolerance policy. It states that if rules are broken, it could result in suspension, alternative school, or expulsion. It also states that evidence will be viewed during a due process hearing, and what it doesn't state is that records aren't looked into, only evidence. It doesn't matter what kind of record you have, because they never look into it. They only see the physical bruises and scarrings from whatever happened. In this case, it was a fight that happened. And this person had never got into trouble before, and nothing had ever been on her record. She had never gotten into an altercation like this before, until she reached her 9th grade year in high school. But during her process hearing, her record was never looked into. The fact that she had been a board scholar in elementary school, had always made principals lists in citizenship, was pretty much at the top of her class during middle school, and had always made at least straight A's or A's and B's.
Hello, my name is Larissa Harris, and I am a science teacher at DeKalb Alternative School. And Jacqueline, when I think about your question, which was being a teacher at the DeKalb Alternative School, what do I think are some characteristics of students that belong in an alternative school? And I have to say that the biggest thing about students who belong at the alternative school is that those students feel that they don't belong in a traditional environment. They feel ignored, they feel uncared for in the traditional environment, and they tend to want to be in the alternative school. Those are the students that belong there. But as I have worked in that program for 18 years, I noticed the characteristics of students that come through the program. And there's 3 types of students that come through the program. There's a student that makes a mistake. One mistake, they realize they made a mistake, they learn from that mistake, and they never come back to the school again. Most of the time, these are our really, really bright students, and they figure it out. And they do well at the alternative school, and they go on to do well back at their home schools. Then there's another group of students that I call them my repeaters. They just do better in the small environment. Either they made a mistake and they did not realize that it was their mistake. They don't take ownership of their behavior, and they come back over and over again, and they do well while they're there. But when they get back to their home school, they cannot adjust to the larger environment. So those students, typically bright students also, and some are, average students, but they typically just cannot seem to take ownership of their behavior. And then there's that last group where those students are at the alternative school because the court has told them that that's where they have to be. They don't really want to go to school at all, and they come to the alternative school because they would end up in RYDC or jail. So they come to school to meet the legal responsibility of coming to school. So basically, I hope that answers your question. I'm glad that you respected me enough to ask me to help out. Thank you.
Lord, it's so hard living this life, a constant struggle each and every day. Some wonder why I'd rather die